So I loved Willow Creek for that opportunity to kind of grow and expand. Again, it was your ministry, go figure it out. And I love the Willow Creek context and the entrepreneur aspect of it. And then,
What year did you get there and what year did you leave?
I got there in, let me think, 85, and I left staff in 93. I moved back to California in 94. So I was there for a year after I officially left staff.
Yep.
So So I was there when I started, there were about 6,500. When I left, there were over 15,000. And what a ride. So I was a part of that inner circle. And it's, yeah, I was going to say that was a whole nother seminary experience, but it was probably a doctoral program. And at so many levels and in so many ways. But then the church began to get, understandably, more managerial than entrepreneurial. And when you grab some paper plates and styrofoam cups out of the little coffee thing, and you got to write it down so it gets charged back to your ministry. I'm thinking, are you freaking kidding me? We're going to spend dollars to count pennies? Come on. That's just one little example. But and then that's when Willow was trying to, I don't want to say contract, but get their arms around things. And so I was leading, Todd, I was leading 175 people a month, 11 months of the year through network. I personally led 10,000 people through network, um, 4 nights a week, 11 months of the year. And, then they said, "Well, families are doing this. We gotta limit it, so we're gonna just do a one-night week and have everybody come in." And all of a sudden, the ministry went then to, I don't know, about a fourth of what it was. And
Mhm.
I said, "So what do you want me to do?" "Well, we just want you to, get your arms around us." I'm sorry, there's more to do, and you just want me to do it in this little time frame? So it was a weird kinda time, and so, just people always thought, like, "Why in the world would you leave Willow Creek?" Well, if it's not fitting my call or and I'm not able to use my gifts, I got a greater God I've gotta respond to. But again, it's God's timing, so that season of, growth and exposure, I think that's the thing that, it was obviously like a Super Bowl experience and a lot of, international exposure, and that was what I would call the platform years. You think of the Super Bowl and you think, "Oh, look, the Super Bowl's made you famous." And I said, "No, the Super Bowl's only exposed the goodness and the greatness that you've had that got you there." You know what I mean? You didn't get good being there. You were good, and that's why you got there. And so I just said, God used me before Willow Creek. I don't know. I just have this sense he might use me when I leave Willow Creek. So, but it provided the platform for ministry expansion, and so I was doing part of all the conferences internationally that when we in that season we didn't have the leadership summit like they do now. They're just doing that, but a little after I left.
You would have been probably those Leadership Network Church of the 21st Century conferences that
Yep,
were the precursor to the
yep,
Global Leadership Summit.
yep, yep. And so that gave me in the ministry exposure, and that's then when I moved more to consulting, training, moved into the writing phase. I probably had over 3 million people exposed to my writings. And it's been in 17 different languages through the years. And people will say, "Oh, you must be excited about this and that." I said, "I guess. I just feel like I'm blinded by grace. I really do not understand or can't get my head or heart around the impact of it.